Game number 4 is here, and that's it. Like I mentioned, we are halfway through the competition now. This could be the turning point for some, but if you're Re and Ritual, you're feeling good. You have a nice comfortable lead up at the top. You figure things out here under the new state of the game, and that is, of course, part of the fun of what we're watching unfold here, as the huge adjustments that were rolled out earlier this week have already started to play its part, as we're seeing so many new teams, I feel like, really start to find their place in the current season. And look at this. You were asking about Bucky. Where was he? It seems like he's coming home to old trust here. Rapid and Batman Booga, though, land on top of Oak. His first beat him to the punch. A little bit more prepared here, if you will. And Rapid keeping the momentum up, trying to hunt down Bucky.
This is bad news bears all day long. Bucky trying to see if he can escape, but there's nowhere left to run. Batman Booga and Rapid, they've been dropping at Grim Gate, and it is a very well-known position for them. I don't want to say they made it look easy, but it's all coming down to just who gets the better drop in general as far as winning out Grim Gate is concerned. Can continue to pose some issues there for Bucky and Okus.
I just want to say, you know what? It came down to map knowledge as well. Rapid cut off Bucky very, very smartly, you know? Yeah, perfectly. Even if Batman Booga didn't come down from the high ground and, you know, close it out fast, I mean, Rapid had his number. Like, it was looking like he had it on speed dial. I'm sure Bucky was going to make it there, unfortunately.
They'll have to sit back and watch, though. See what happens throughout the course of Game 4. Maybe Lobby 5. They might try to switch up that initial point of contention. Revise, gone fishing for Vorteca. Might need to be a little bit careful, though. At the same time, Thunderburst SMG. And here's Tahi to help pick up the rest of what was left over from Vorteca's health. Revised and Tahi trying to do what they can to control this southern portion of Brutal Beachhead. But for anybody that missed it, quick review of how that first elimination went down. And it's simply just Paco trying to escape the warship, but nowhere left to run. Bit unfortunate for sure.
Continued fight here with Mixon and Duo. Jabco and Quanti, since Game 1, have continued to not necessarily get the best of Blaha and Mixon, but neutralize them nonetheless. And I would have thought, right, given the earlier commentary, that Mixon and Blaha would have been very much dominant, because this is where they perform best. When they have these early game fights, they do tend to close them faster, but I just feel like, you know, Quanti's bringing his match here. Really have them outnumbered.
But Quanti in his own right, though, he very regularly, I'd be more surprised to see Quanti at a drop that is uncontested than what I am seeing him regularly challenging other players at their drops. And Research Rock is going to be no different. And also, the story with Blaha and Mixon, I think part of their success from the last season kind of stemmed from the fact that they didn't necessarily have to be as up close and personal with that initial contention. Because last season, the manner that they were landing at south of the map, they had options to disengage, but here at Research Rock, there's nowhere to run. They've got to take the fight into their own hands. Great pre-file there from Mixon wrapping around the corner, but gets stuck in the doorway. No escape available, and the backup from Quanti gonna be more than enough. Now it's just a classic 2 versus 1 situation. Blaha trying to see if he can go for some form of recovery here, but Yapko incredibly low. Yapko, Quanti, bit of panic, both stuck on the doorway. That just ended up being Mixon's demise, and they don't want to find themselves in a similar fate.
And look at who's creeping up. Liam and Noah. Hearing all that's going on. If Mixon didn't throw up a wall here. Oh, he didn't throw up the wall there. Did not expect another team to come in. And now Liam, Noah healthy. Plenty of material. And not only that, the resources off the down bodies will likely close this fight up pretty quickly. Look, they're on full nitro. They run in. No fear, no problem. Great defensive tax here from Yako. Actually forced Noah to reconsider, and he gets taken down. And now it's a trade as Liam has to heal up here. Pops the cola. Wow.
The classic revive exchange. Yapko kind of wagering the fact that his odds are a little bit better if he's able to bring Quanti back up and running. Same case scenario here for Liam and Noah, but given how much favorable it looked initially for Liam and Noah, the fact that Quanti and Yapko, that was a nice execution that they had. Granted, Quanti maybe a little bit left to the wolves slightly longer than what Yapko had initially intended, but Yapko still did what he needed to do. He got some really solid tags, some great damage from behind, and that is going to be good enough. Quanti, Yapko, full disengage. They're gonna be able to rely on these slurp cacti as well. They could even make use of some of these flaming boost hoops, as well as launch pads that are kind of scattered throughout the southern portion of the map.
I just love how they had a full strategy ready for once they got out of there. Works out perfectly, and we talked about that lack of defensive coverage. You can see from the perspective of Liam there how it worked out. Back on to the other side here. A bit more of some greener pastures. You have Vino and Clicks right now, already 2 eliminations. The classic type of split position going on here, but I do believe that might be Clicks playing for the tower here, the forecast tower, where Vino's playing for surge tags. This could be their game. They haven't left the top 10 by any means, but after game 1's near victory royale, we might be seeing them fight for a dub right now.
Ooh, Veno.
Wow.
You can actually see how that first elimination actually occurred. It's just Hound. Nowhere left to run.
That's 2 games Hound and Mason have been eliminated very early.
And that's also, I think, part of the risk that's involved with their drop on that southwest side of the map by Reclaim Villa, because Clicks and Veno, keep in mind, they're in that Sandy Steps territory, so they've got prime opportunities to just leverage the hills that are available right next to that Snooty Stations, a little bit north of Sandy Steps, where Clicks and Veno like to drop, and they can just consistently apply those DMR tags or even Enforcer assault rifle shots towards the teams that are in that west side position. So it's certainly tough, I think, for Mason and Hound when they hit the ground running off the initial drop. But if they do manage to survive, we've seen them make some pretty big plays. If they make it to the end game, it's just about whether or not they can convert those early game woes into a nice mid and late game transition.
Right in between the rig and brawlers, you can see teams starting to pile up here. Fights finally ending. The Sphinx and Dukes got their eyes here on Kylie, who seems to be by himself, actually. Likely getting pushed by Diminished and Duo. In the storm. Go ahead.
Look like, I was just gonna say, Scented. Definitely much further south with walkers than what I would have initially anticipated. I mean, they were originally landing more towards Coastal Comms, which is far north, and now all the way down by Little Dirty Dock, and they're not the only team. I mean, even Noah, Liam, part of the reason why they were able to get that pick off early on onto Blaha at Research Rock is because some teams just kind of going on tour, just experimenting. This initial starting point didn't work out for us. Let's see if we can kind of shift our drops, see if that'll pan out a little bit more in our favor. So it is interesting because when you really boil it all down, most of these teams, as far as semis is concerned, they've all practically guaranteed their spots in uppers and lowers. And granted, uppers, I think arguably a slightly more favorable position because you can leverage, you have more opportunities technically to qual to that grand finals lobby. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of these players are kind of viewing this more as just set lobby practice in general. So trying out these new strategies, these new drops, seeing if they might help you out a little bit more with early game success. I like that teams are willing to experiment.
Epic Will and Threats right now fighting their way through the storm here. The zone ends up doing the work for them to close this one out here. And it's been a pretty tough day for Epic Will and Threats overall, as they've hung out amongst the bottom of the standings. A lot of work to be had here if they want to be up towards the top at the moment. Braids and Visuals, our sleeper duo who has managed to fight for height time and time again here. Out of the 3 games, we've seen them up there at least 2.5 times. But hold up, we got to jump in with Reet and Ritual, our lead team right now, running through. Tyler, now Curve, the backup is here. Reet closes the deal. But no, actually, Curve slips out the side, so he gets the shield crack. He just needs to finish him off, but Curve's on the run. Be wise of Reet to play for the pickup, but no, instead he goes for the fight, looking for the side angle. Very smartly placed there, and look at the movement, man. This is what Reet has always been known for.
This is also Reet and Ritual's drop. If anybody's going to have map knowledge of Reckless Railways, it's going to be Reet and Ritual, but Curve seals the deal, gets the finish, that full elimination, but won't be able to go for the revive onto Tyler. Unfortunately, no shield left to work with either. He's got to have the most exact shots of all time and hope that Reet doesn't manage to connect one in the process, but it's just too tall of a task to ask for. At the same time, though, the damage has been done. Reet, he's going to have to play for the reboot. And granted, he is isolated for the time being, but that's going to delay Reet and Ritual's rotate into this south pulling zone towards that Nitrodrome. So trouble could be on the horizon for one of our leading duos of the day.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up panning out for them, as getting taken out, playing into a reboot situation is definitely a time loss and a big setback there. But Aviv and Bugha, who have found themselves inside the zone, sitting up right on top of a very skilled duo in Rise and Agers, might have their work cut out for them. Teams positioned all around them too, likely to start looking in on what's happening here. I can see those crosshairs aiming right this way. Bugha and Aviv sense the danger, and they try to go ahead and rotate out. But you can see lack of Flowberry Fizz or Nitro doesn't really give them too much distance, but still, the timing was well, so they get far enough for now.
The Nitrodrome has really had such a fall from grace, though, ever since the removal of that Boombo, Ringmaster Scar's medallion, and that perk of infinite ammo. A lot less desirable, I think, because you have to remember, you're marked on the map whenever you are carrying one of those 3 medallions, and I think part of the reason Khanada and Cooper even had some struggles in some of our starting lobbies is did see them opting to carry that medallion at the start. And again, when you are marked and you're trying to establish search strategy, it can be difficult when everybody knows exactly where you're coming from. So not too surprised to see teams kind of opting to leave the Remaster Scar medallion behind. Instead, focus in, hone in a little bit more on just the direct rotates to zone. And there is still possibilities as well for these late rotates, especially for the players that are kind of pushing from the elevation that's involved with Mount Olympus. Quanti and Yapko, they've definitely done a solid job at recovering. All things considered, decent loadouts. Scissor and Chimp right in front of them as well. Trying to get some tags in while they can. They've got to be careful because they might have some other teams sneaking up behind them.
Hope you guys are not done with the Peterbot and Boyo story, because they have continued to give us a reason to tune in and watch what they are up to. This is likely to be their first set of an engagement this early into the game, and Peterbot's going to go and make the call here to back out. I'm more curious as to why, given that this is a completely isolated battle. However, they are probably looking for easier angles, and honestly, they'll get the advantage of the storm once it reveals itself where the zone's pulling.
Look at the direction, though, Peterbot is focused in on. It's the flaming boost hoop. He doesn't want to leave himself in a spot where Peterbot and Pollo couldn't necessarily see any teams rotating through that flaming boost hoop. So he's definitely trying to keep tabs of that general direction, slightly east of Redline Rig. And simultaneously, could even look for 2 separate angles to try and hold teams on their rotates. Dukes and Sphinx, though, they come flying in overhead.
Oh my gosh.
Flaming boosting for a reason.
They didn't even see Peterbot there, by the way. They just landed right near him just as he was coming out, popping out from behind that rock, farming the tree. That timing could have been so much worse had Boyo and Peterbot been side by side there. And look, Boyo's on the move right now. They're looking to relocate here, and the angles are good. Peterbot gets a couple tags here onto Dukes now, forcing them into the low ground team of Aminish and Cam. So Dukes and Sphinx, unknowing here, getting closer and closer into danger territory. It's just a deadly trio right here.
And Peterbot and Poyo, they've got all the advantages in the world if you think about it. They are closest towards that south edge of zone. So they'll have the opportunity to just keep looking back, keep trying to exchange tags, maybe even secure another elimination or 2 or 3 or 4 if they're lucky. They're forcing everybody, though, to just keep having to wrap even further west of the zone, maybe even pushing some of these teams more towards the water. Cam and Aminish kind of recognizing the fact that this is a difficult exchange to opt for. Reet, though, adding to the count. Keep in mind, Ritual and Reet, they're number 1 and 2 in individual eliminations, 14 and 13 respectively. So make that 14 now for Reet, 16 for Ritual. Nice spot to be in as far as elimination leads are concerned.
On the move right now. As they just get in here, they will have to likely take a fight here very soon. See the damage taking its toll here onto Reet's HP pool there from the storm. They land on the health cactus? I couldn't see it. Doesn't look like it.
They have, should be regenerating relatively soon. But again, keep in mind that desert part of the map littered with slurp cacti, so even if they aren't directly next to one, they're bound to rotate next to some as they keep their pace up. Bryce, though, without bolts, getting slightly held up here at the Nitrodrome as well. This is not going to be an easy rotate by any means. He's trying to just kind of linger. So many floppers, though, that he can work with at least from inside of the storm.
This is right on cue. We jump in with Peterbot finishing an elimination here, picking one up. And take a look. A lot of teams rotating around right now, trying to see if they can get a more favorable light side of the zone there. And look, he lands right on in, straight off the boost tube, perfectly onto Zyre. And then gets the finisher. That's a refresher. Welcomed one, and then another elimination being set up here. Back to back now, as they've cut off Bax and Claire here. Great tag. He's just trapped. Bax aim gets finished off there as well.
So many heals as well.
Medallion?
Peterbot has that machinist medallion. He's gonna drop it early, though, for Poyo, since Poyo's health a little bit worse for wear in comparison to Peterbot. And regardless, because of their material count and their plethora of heals, Peterbot, Poyo, they're just gonna box up for a moment here in metal. A luxury few can afford to do at this stage, but they're 769 above the damage threshold, while so many others are struggling. Peterbot and Poyo just continue to thrive, and visuals as well, slight ramp up, but he's got to be very wary of when he actually decides to peak.
No, this is perfect. Peterbot was like, oh, you're gonna sit on a ramp with no cone? He was about to jump on him right away. And then they just recognize it's probably gonna be a free elimination. Yep, all signs point to this team needing to key visuals. And just like that, they send them right back to the lobby. That's 4 elims now, more material, and they are just loaded up here. Take a look at Bryce coming in, finding Edgy here, cones him up, grabs the wall, also making it look very easy. That's not far north where Peterbot and Poyo were just at. Jumping in with Bryce, though. Taco, he is 300 below, just about 234 right there.
Yeah, initially you would think that that elimination would help out, but when you are this far down in the damage threshold, no heals, no shield, 11 white HP, only 70 shield directly.
Just log out, right?
It's feeling like a go next, that's for sure.
Oh,
If Bryce gets a recovery from this point, that's a massive momentum swing as far as confidence is concerned, but I think a player as experienced as Bryce can kind of recognize the fact that he's just got to play sneaky for placements. Maybe he gets a cleanup on the backside. You can tell there's a big box fight happening directly up above him, but he's got to be wary of when he actually chooses to shoot. Spots Rise getting knocked, but he's just too far down the hill. That's going to be an easy cleanup from ahead. Ager's not going to allow any form of a bounce back there.
Meanwhile, Re and Ritual slip their way to danger thresholds here with the Surge being active right now. And although we're in moving zone territory, Re and Ritual will have to put their focus in on damage, not just the rotation right now. They're going to be one of the first to get a move on here. You have options like Epic Whale and Threats there off to the outer edge. Peterbot loses Boyo here. Last we jumped in with Boyo, he had a slither of health. It seems like things couldn't quite bounce favorable for them. Peterbot not done yet. Still looking to hold his general position here and fight back.
At the same time, though, spotted out Clix and Veno. Keep in mind, Clix Veno, they established control for the forecast tower very early on. It seems as though they're definitely trying to leverage it, biding their time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike as far as their next rotation is concerned. But Ritual Re, they've got a whole elimination on their hands. Rigby, unfortunately, nothing worse than being the player that gets tossed into somebody else's turf, but Ritual and Reed still very much on high alert. Seems evident that they've got some kind of an audio cue, and Zooks and Bacon just one layer above them for the time being. They might be hoping that they actually opt to drop to that ultimate low ground, and if they do, Reed and Ritual, they'd be more than happy to try and scoop up another knocker elimination or two.
It's a great update from the high ground. If Eve and Booga have a chance right now to put themselves into that top 10 conversation, possibly solidify themselves even better placements now. They've broken the triple-digit points threshold, but also have high ground. Meanwhile, Clix and Veno on the outskirts there, also at the spear point of the zone. Rotate here, Re and Ritual finding their way slowly up the damage numbers. In this end game, there goes the Nitro boost. Off they go to the front side of the zone here. And this is what they did great last time, securing a low ground position early and clearing up the low ground. Let's see how it's going to work out for them right now. More action happening here. Clix and Veno slightly later with their rotate, but not too bad as they find themselves closer to the mid-ground layers. The focus though, the shots come in and they lose their base for what it's worth.
Veno, though, could be under a whole world of hurt. It's got Chimp and Scissor on the other side, now a floor above. But quick pause in the action here. Clix Veno will be able to recuperate some shields off the Flowberry Fizz. Khanada and Cooper, on the other hand, they're also trying to just stay in a decent position inside of this hill, trying to see if they can play for that secondary height control. Unestablished layer just hovering towards the front side of zone as well, looking up now. And again, there's some builds leading towards the high ground, but Re and Ritual might be who Khanada and Cooper encounter first. All depends. They've actually found themselves a little bit further back, but one more time, front ground of front side of zone, low ground, I should say, under their control.
Vino didn't mean to jump down there, unfortunately, but either way, he still has a chance here to continue to make up more points. Inside of a top 10 now. Reciprocal and G-Monster went from giving up the high ground to Booga and Aviv to recontesting for it and now having to try to defend it up against Khanada and Cooper. And that's going to be unsuccessful here as G-Monster does fall. Reciprocal falls shortly after and then loses Khanada. So Cooper's by himself. He finds Tahi there. So a lot of different teams looking to get inside the conversation here. In a bad read on the Storm, I think, from Cooper for a moment there, but gets to pick up his teammate. He gives him a little bit of runway to work with. On the other side of the low ground here, though, Re and Ritual continue to clean up the low ground. That's Vino, that's Clicks. Down and out. The elimination run for Re and Ritual continue here, and then they find Muzz as well.
Just not your floor. Unfortunate stuff there for Muzz. Drops in instantly. I mean, he didn't have any HP to work with, though, to be fair. Muzz was just hoping that there was going to be nobody on that ultimate low ground. But again, Ritual and Reet just continue to powerhouse through the front side of this ultimate low ground. Cooper, Khanada now fully replenished on the high ground. What they don't have much of, though, is just the materials. But Cooper, small refresh. He's got a med kit to work with now. He's just waiting. Khanada probably banking on being able to play a little bit of Disruptor here towards the end of it all. Now they're going to finally drop a little bit closer towards Reet and Ritual, kind of just creeping up onto them. 2 versus 2 situation. This could be Khanada and Cooper's first victory royale of the day. It's all going to come down to the final moments of the zone. Only one build left to work with. Make that none. Cooper trying to chop through, but Reet and Ritual, they're just going to come down to an all-out brawl here at the end. And Khanada seemingly in the favorable spot to close this one. Now, last tag's going to do it. Reet and Ritual have finally fallen here. And lobby number 4 going to belong entirely to Khanada and Cooper.
Excellent job as well for them coming from the fight of the game. Really, they really did have to really work for it, because Tahi tried to contest them. They had to take out G-Monster on the high ground. You have Mugen and Vive with intentions to try to maintain their spot there, but in the end, Cooper and Khanada do end up winning here. Take a look at how Cooper gets the trade that he needs and puts the damage in onto Ree, and then in clean fashion, Khanada closes it out with a wonderful drop shot there. Dignitas Khanada, Dignitas Cooper win for game number 4. They were out of the conversation, almost out of the race, if you will, after those first 3 games. We were talking them down what seemed like for a moment there, but here they are back in the action. So with that, we're gonna need a quick second here to recoup. We'll be back after this.